RKO.fm.
¿Qué tal, amigos de RKO.fm? Les saluda Sof Vázquez y estamos muy emocionados porque nos acompaña una banda increíble que la están rompiendo desde el 2019. Es una banda de rock alternativo desde Vancouver, Canadá. Y bueno, lamentablemente no nos acompañan todos, pero está aquí con nosotros James Porter. Él es guitarrista, también toca el teclado y la voz. Y también está Ian Winkler, él es guitarrista. Y aparte vienen promocionando su nuevo sencillo, traen una gira en puerta, entonces estamos muy, muy emocionados. Y pues chicos, bienvenidos, guys, welcome.
Hi, how are you? I think I actually heard there. I think you have the wrong James for who's here today. This is James Turner.
Oh my God.
Yeah, drummer, yeah.
Did I say something wrong? Oh,
I don't think you just introduced
Jamie,
James
right?
Porter.
Yeah. There's
God.
two Jameses in the band. That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's not your mistake because it's Jamie and James. But yeah.
Okay. Aquí es un pequeño error, pero nos acompaña James, right? Or James.
Yeah.
James Turner, y él es el baterista. Okay, guys, welcome, and I'm gonna introduce yourselves so I don't make any other mistakes. So please.
No, good.
No, it's okay. Yeah. I can start. Yeah, sure. I'm Ian. I play bass predominantly, but I also do a little guitar, a little vocals. When we record, we have a very kind of fluid and dynamic recording situation where we just kind of play what we write. So sometimes I'll be playing guitar, keys, bass on recordings, but you can call me the bass player. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm James. And James Turner, you can call me Jamie as well. I've been the drummer for Meltt since the beginning, and do drums and percussion and other things, percussion on the record and live and drums.
Okay,
and meaning both also help write lyrics and other parts as well.
Bueno, pues ahora sí ellos ya se presentaron correctamente. Y please tell us how all of you met. What's the connection between all the members of Meltt?
Yeah, me and Chris, the lead singer, go back a long ways. I've actually known Chris since kindergarten. We were about 5 years old. So I've known him a long, long time. We grew up in the same small area together. And he played guitar at a young age. And he actually moved to Peru when he was like 8 or so, somewhere in there. And when I was in elementary school, I was invited to play in a talent show, to be a drummer in a talent show. I had just kind of started messing around with drums. My dad was a drummer. And I played a show with some other friends just for a one-off talent show. And it was really fun. So I thought that if Chris wanted to join when he got back from Peru, I knew he was a great guitarist because I've known him forever. And then me, another buddy, and Chris started playing kind of with a small 3-person cover band, really, really young. When we got to high school, James, the other James, joined as another guitarist. And we had another member as well join. We kind of played the 5 of us as a cover band through high school from grade 8 to 12. After grade 12, we had played so long together, we wanted to keep playing, but everyone kind of went their separate ways. So that band kind of dissolved. And me, Chris, and James were still playing together through that first year of university, although James was in Montreal. And that's kind of when Meltt became Meltt, was that first year after high school. James came back in the summer and we started recording our own music for the first time instead of playing covers. And it felt really great. So James moved back to BC and that was that. And then Ian came along. He was going out to out east as well for school. And he came back. We kind of had rotating bass players. Ian was one of them when he would be back in town. We always liked playing with Ian, so he would join. And then he would have to go back to school. But when we all finished university, Ian joined as a permanent member. So we could lock down that 4th member finally. And he's been here for the last few years. But yeah, we've also known Ian for a long time. We go way back with him as well. He was in elementary school with me too. So I've known him since I was, like 10, 11 years old. So we all kind of go way back.
Yeah, I can tell.
Sorry, that was a bit long, but it is a bit of a longer history.
I'm going to try to translate all that.
You could take a little bit of that if you want.
Yeah.
Ok, bueno.
Fit.
Como Jamie nos dice, él ya conocía a Chris desde que eran chiquitos, tenían como 5 años, y ahí él fue cuando empezó como con la batería y a jugar un poquito con la música, y pues bueno, esta amistad creció, también ya conocían también a James Porter, entonces ellos tres empezaron a formar esta banda en secundaria, pero tocaban covers, entonces pues después esta banda pues ya no se pudo como continuar con los estudios y demás, pero ellos se mantuvieron juntos hasta la prepa, y ahí fue cuando conocen a Ian, que de hecho ya nos había dicho Jamie que Ian también ya estaba con ellos desde chiquitos, pero no se integró después hasta la banda, y ya fue cuando esto creció como Meltt. Entonces, pues básicamente llevan toda la infancia y la vida juntos, y qué bonito, porque creo que se nota en su música el cómo han crecido y pues esta unión que no es como que se conocieron pues paulatinamente, ¿no? O sea, crecieron, se vieron desde chiquitos, entonces creo que ese también es el corazón de Meltt, ¿no? And well, I can tell from the music that you've known each other for so long. I mean, I was telling just that in Spanish, and you can tell that you've grown together and the music has grown with you. So I think that's what makes Meltt.
Thank you. Yeah.
And well, tell us a little bit more about the background and how you got into music. What makes you feel interested to be a musician?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, all of us kind of have different paths from the beginning when we were kids to coming into music. I think the one thing that we all kind of had talked about before that I'd say connects us in a way that led us to each other was, funnily enough, each of us kind of had our own separate experience with the band Led Zeppelin, and that kind of being the moment back when we were kids of being like, wow, holy shit, like music can do that, like I want to do that kind of thing. And I mean, there's all kinds of common influences and stuff between us, but I'd say that was kind of like the big one that all four of us separately had that moment with the same group that really helped us all kind of connect, or in the early days. Yeah, I mean, there's so many other artists. Jamie, anything?
That's a great point. I'll just piggyback off that. Like Ian said, I think that came from a influence from all our parents were like loved, like obviously classic rock. They grew up in that era, so I think listening to our parents' music, each of us were influenced, like especially like Ian said, Led Zeppelin was a big one, but lots of other bands like Beatles, Stones, Queen, all that era was super influential to us because that's what we kind of grew up on from our parents. And then Led Zeppelin being like a super common ground that we all kind of had our minds blown equally. For me personally, to get into actually playing drums myself, my dad was like an orchestral drummer when he was younger. So we had a snare drum around. I would always mess with it. Like since I was like 2-3 years old, I always just kind of bang around on my dad's orchestra snare. And always like just playing, that kind of play drums on the couch or whatever I could do. But it wasn't until that talent show I mentioned earlier that I played real drums for the first time that kind of pushed me into playing live. And then from then on, it was just, I never wanted to stop. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the translation now. Bueno, les pregunté que cómo es que ellos se involucraron en la música y que decidieron ser músicos. Y bueno, básicamente el pegamento que tienen en común es que a todos les gustaba escuchar Led Zeppelin. Y pues obviamente todo esto fue por sus papás, que también escuchaban a los Beatles, a Queen. Entonces, todos tienen este como background musical gracias a sus papás. En el caso de Jamie, nos dice que él se enseñó a sí mismo a tocar la batería porque su papá estaba en una orquesta y en su casa había pues siempre instrumentos musicales. Entonces que compartió eso con su papá, pero sí, básicamente lo que los llevó a la música fue Led Zeppelin, que era como la banda que ellos compartían en común. Entonces pues de ahí nació su amor por la música. And I gotta be a little bit honest, but I cannot not feel like the Led Zeppelin vibe on Meltt. But
no, it doesn't really show up.
You're right. You're not wrong at all. that we've since then, that catalyst moment, we all love Led Zeppelin and that era, but we've definitely evolved in our taste, and our influences have definitely evolved since then to create something else.
it's certainly not the style of music we currently strive to make, but it's certainly what sparked our musical journey.
Yeah, it's a whole initial. And I think if you dig deep enough, maybe there's a little bit of influence deep down in there, but you're right, it's definitely not the main vibe of the music.
Chris isn't doing those Robert Plant screams or anything.
Yeah, the Jimmy Page solos.
Well, but this takes me to my next question, that it would be like, what are your influence now? Like, what do you listen nowadays, and what inspired the sound of Meltt?
I mean, again, like I was saying, there's a lot of common influence between us. There's a lot of kind of individual things we all love. I'd say the strongest kind of influences between us that kind of led us to where we are musically today would be Tame Impala is a huge one, of course. The band Foals from England is a really big one for us. Glass Animals is another. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch here. Kasabian, I know I've never actually personally gone super into Kasabian, but I know some of the other guys absolutely love that.
And Radiohead too, you know.
And Radiohead, yeah. Jamie personally is not as much of a fan, but for the rest of us, Radiohead is a huge influence.
And the influence is definitely a good influence to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, it's kind of evolved for a while from that kind of classic rock vibe into the modern kind of like psychedelic alternative space, where we kind of have these different influences that Ian named, and then there's a few individual ones for specific musicians, but yeah, Ian kind of nailed it on that.
Ok, bueno, pues les decía que pues no se siente, honestamente no se siente como la influencia de Led Zeppelin, pero pues no, me dicen que no me preocupe, que realmente eso fue lo que los unió a ellos, y lo que me llevó a mi siguiente pregunta, que fue qué es lo que escuchan hoy en día. Y bueno, me mencionaron a Tame Impala, a Falls, Glass Animals, Kasabian, que lo que muchos escuchan también es Radiohead, que es como toda esta vibe como galáctica, espacial, que es como lo que suena Meltt, que si no los han escuchado se han perdido de muchísimo, pero no se preocupen porque muy pronto vamos a escuchar su nuevo sencillo, lo cual me lleva a mi siguiente pregunta. So we're gonna listen shortly in a few minutes to Blossoms, your new single. So could you tell us a little bit more about this amazing new single that you just released like a month ago, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, pretty much a month ago to the day. It's our newest song. We're really happy with it. How did it come together? So it's too bad Chris isn't on the call, because this song was mainly Chris at the beginning there. He was kind of toying around with plugins and different synth sounds and stuff, especially like during COVID lockdown era when we're all kind of stuck inside. He was just spending every day, every night, just like trying out new sounds and that kind of stuff. And he stumbled across that kind of Blossoms sound that you hear in the intro, the do 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 do. And for a lot of us, or for a lot of our songs, kind of those, a big chunk of the song gets written in that like initial inspiration, that initial spark of the demo, when we find the sound we like and we just throw a bunch of ideas at it, and a huge part of the song gets kind of designed in that way. So Chris started with that. He found that thing he liked. He hopped on the drums, did a quick beat, played some bass to it, started like singing out some melodies and stuff. Gibberish melodies is kind of the way we start. We like in the sound of the melody first. And then, he brought it to the band. We love the sound of it. So we all kind of worked on it together, giving input on different parts, trying things out. Jamie nailed that absolutely killer drum beat on it. And then we all kind of have a look at the lyrics together and stuff and try those out together. But again, this one was kind of predominantly Chris. And he comes from a common place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you can continue if you want.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very, very inspired by where we live and the things that we do in our free times, going out in nature, camping, hiking, all that, surfing, kayaking. Like it's a really important part of our lives, being out in nature, and I think that was a huge. I know that was a huge inspiration and where Chris was coming from for those lyrics.
Ok, so les pregunté sobre Blossom, su más reciente sencillo que vamos a escuchar a continuación, y bueno, les pregunté cuál fue la inspiración o de qué habla este gran sencillo, y bueno, ella nos comenta que todo fue por Chris, él es la voz principal, Y fue cuando él comenzó a jugar con unos plugins, con sintetizadores, y que todo esto fue por la pandemia, cuando todos estaban, pues todos estábamos aislados de la vida, y se inspiraron en justo donde ellos viven, en la naturaleza, cuando van a acampar. Entonces, si ustedes lo han escuchado y si no, ahorita lo vamos a escuchar, cómo esto nos eleva. Yo sentí como en el espacio esta vibra tan bonita y tan distinta que realmente no habíamos escuchado. Entonces, pues no se diga más, vamos a escuchar Blossoms. Guys, I was telling the audience that you can tell that, I mean, when I listen to Blossoms, I just feel like I'm on a mother spaceship or something like that, like I'm on space. It has such a groovy vibe, but it's something like I've never heard before. The scenes that you use, is just, I don't know, my mind just goes away.
Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you.
That's definitely part of the goal for sure.
Yes. So we're gonna go and listen to Blossoms, and then we'll come back and we're gonna chat for a few minutes. Y bueno, al inicio ya platicamos un poquito de su background musical, cómo es que se conocieron, cómo se metieron en la música, sus influencias. También acabamos de escuchar Blossom, su último sencillo. Y bueno, ahora quiero preguntarles, porque tienen una gira en puerta que acaban de anunciar y estoy muy emocionada por esto. Guys, tell us about Another Quiet Place. I know this is the name of your new EP, but as well the tour. That's the name of the tour. So where are the places you're visiting and when, and all about it? Tell us all about it.
Absolutely. Sorry, it's Another Quiet Sunday is the EP name and tour name.
Oh, the tour is Another Quiet Place, right? No, that's the EP.
Both Sunday.
Why did I say Another Quiet Place?
Another Quiet Place is a great movie, though.
It's a good movie.
Oh my
God.
I just keep messing the names up. I'm so sorry.
That's completely okay. That is completely
Easy
okay.
mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's our new EP coming out next, as of when we're talking, next Friday, March 3rd. And yeah, we're going on tour. March 3rd is actually also the first date that we are down in the States to start our tour. Well, actually, we're playing a hometown Vancouver show this coming Saturday, which we're very excited for. We just sold out a few days ago. But then, yeah, we're heading down the coast of America. We're doing, let's see if I can rattle off the cities. We're doing Seattle, we're doing Portland, we're doing Sacramento, San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, Tucson. Then we're going to South by Southwest in Austin, going up to Salt Lake City, and then finishing off in Boise, Idaho for a festival called Tree Fort. And yeah, we're really excited. We actually last year, we did pretty much the same thing, just with not as many shows. And that was our first ever tour period, like first time ever playing outside of our kind of home area. And so we're very excited to go back. We're very excited to see fans that came last time, see new fans that have come out. A huge part of why we love touring is actually meeting fans and talking to people and who listen to our music. And that was a very humbling and ego boosting experience at the same time. In a way. It's really nice, to put it honestly. And then that's on March 3rd, our first show in Seattle is when the EP comes out, which features the new song Another Quiet Sunday, which we're really excited to put out.
Ok, bueno, les pregunté sobre su gira y su nuevo EP, que es Another Quiet Sunday. Ahí me equivoqué con el nombre de una película, pero Another Quiet Sunday es el nombre correcto del EP y de su gira, que comienza el 3 de marzo, o sea, ya nada, y comienzan en Seattle, van a visitar muchas ciudades, Portland, también van a estar en el South by Southwest, que es un evento en Austin, Texas, ya bastante famoso, donde se presentan películas, música, entonces ahí van a estar ellos también. Nos dicen que están muy emocionados porque es como el primer tour grande que hacen. Y bueno, les encanta conocer a nuevos fans y estar en contacto con los nuevos seguidores que se han sumado después de que sacaron Blossoms, y también porque recordemos que su material discográfico pasado también la rompieron durísimo en el 2019, entonces les encanta conocer a más personas y están muy emocionados. Y bueno, también quisiera saber, well, I'm just as excited as you guys are for touring. I just hope Mexico is really soon. Please, Latin America.
We would really like to do that. We would really like to do that. What city are you based in?
Where am I?
Yeah, what city are you in?
Oh, I'm Mexico City.
You're in Mexico City?
Yeah,
Yeah, we would really like to come.
That's
Please,
definitely a hub that we'd love to come to. Yeah,
we're
we
working
really
on
want
it,
to.
yeah.
Definitely.
Pero les dije que cuando vienen a México, que nos encantaría tenerlos por acá. Ya les dije que ya nosotros andamos en la Ciudad de México y aquí los vamos a recibir con mucho cariño. Y bueno, I have another question that I just missed, but how was the process of producing and writing and recording Another Quiet Sunday? Because I know you went to this like isolated cabin during pandemic. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sorry, Jamie, I feel like I've been
Yeah, sure.
on. Do you want to try this one out?
Yeah, sure. This was the initial idea, and a lot of the lyrics and themes of this song and music was written by James, the other James Porter. This is one of his demos. And yeah, we kind of had, like Ian said, we had all these ideas and sparks that we individually brought to the table because of the pandemic. Sometimes we do a lot more writing in the room together to find initial ideas, but this time, since we're isolated, they were brought in a lot of individual ideas that were sometimes more fully formed than others. This was one that James brought in. And basically, we realized at some point that we had so many of these ideas that we needed to kind of sort through and see if they were going to be Meltt songs and see what we could do that, but we couldn't work together because it was COVID and we didn't want to, put our families in danger. So we just had an idea. Why don't we just rent a cabin for a month, isolate, 5.5 hours away into the British Columbian wilderness, for lack of a better term, is quite isolated up there. And yeah, we spent a month writing pretty much what became this new group of songs. Every song that's been out since last year, and the EP and everything the few things that will come after, all came from this period where we took all these ideas and we just spent every day, 10, 12 hours a day, just kind of writing, sorting through the demos, putting parts to them, making choruses, arranging them, and just, it was a hugely productive period of time at the cabin. The first week and a half was all smoke outside as well, so we couldn't really even go outside. We had to stay inside, so we got a lot of work done, worked through a ton of these demos that the guys had brought to the table, added real drums to almost all the songs that we decided to work on. That changed them quite a bit. And then, whatever parts we needed, we would put on, whatever we needed to take away. It was really productive. It was a really cool experience, just being isolated, just focused on music. You wake up, get out of your bedroom, and the studio is right there, so it's pretty cool.
Wow.
It was a very fun time.
Wow, sounds like an amazing experience, and I cannot wait to listen to all that experience on Another Quiet Sunday. Y bueno, les acabo de preguntar porque grabaron Another Quiet Sunday, su próximo EP, en una cabaña aislada. Decidieron rentar unas 5 semanas esta cabaña en British Columbia, en el bosque, aislados completamente, y aquí llevaron todos como sus ideas y lo que traían como un poquito en mente para poder desarrollar en esta cabina. Y bueno, Jamie nos cuenta que la primera semana había demasiado humo afuera, entonces no pudieron ni salir, y toda esa semana estuvieron escribiendo y produciendo, entonces que todo fue muy productivo. Y pues bueno, no podemos esperar ya a escuchar el resultado de esas 5 semanas en esta cabaña aislada, en donde ellos prácticamente se despertaban, hacían música, dormían, despertaban, hacían música. Entonces creo que se nota, y la inspiración también, como nos decían, del bosque y la naturaleza en Blossoms. Entonces no podemos esperar las siguientes canciones de este EP. And guys, what can we expect from the other new releases and songs from Another Quiet Sunday?
Yeah, well, for Another Quiet Sunday, it's kind of another different vibe. Like with our music, each song brings, I think, something quite different and unique, even though there's kind of that Meltt thread through it all. But this one's, a little more dreamy, a little more reflective. It's got a nice interplay between quite intense riffs and softer kind of tones and parts, and it's got a good dynamic to it, I would say. yeah, it's got a little bit of everything in the song itself, but it's definitely got this kind of reflective quality, just based on the theme of the song itself. It's kind of, won't talk about it too much because James, the brainchild behind it, but yeah, it's kind of this contemplation on the interplay between this world and the next, and kind of how, like, a little bit about life and death and rebirth, and yeah, that's kind of the cycle of that. And it's got definitely a really cool vibe to it. So
yeah, the song has very cinematic kind of epic quality, I find, to it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it for sure.
And you can tell the difference from Swim Slowly, right? I just heard, like, well, I've only listened to Blossoms, but it's a completely different vibe from your songs from Swim Slowly. But I think it still has the touch of Meltt, so.
Funny enough you say that is, there's the Only in Your Eyes, Within You, Within Me, and It Could Go Anywhere, and Blossoms now. I think they're definitely a lot of new experimenting and new vibes, and same with Another Quiet Sunday. But I would say out of all the songs, Another Quiet Sunday is probably the most Swim Slowly like, I think, of the new songs. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. But it's still got a lot of new experimentation and layers. And I think this new songs, definitely what to expect out of the new batch of songs compared to Swim Slowly is a lot more layers. And we kind of, because we did a lot of it separately, there's a lot of messing around with tons of layers and not thinking about how we would play it together live. Whereas Swim Slowly, we did a lot together. So it was like, guitar, bass, one synth, drums, not so many layers. This one was like, okay, put tons of production in, add a bunch of layers, and then we'll sort out how to play it live later on. So definitely all the songs will have a lot more layering and experimentation.
We do not hold back at all on the sounds we threw at these songs.
And it shows. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Bueno, les pregunté sobre qué podemos esperar de Another Quiet Sunday, de las canciones que va a traer este nuevo EP. Y bueno, nos dicen que se dieron más libertad, hay muchísimas más capas, no se detuvieron tanto a pensar, porque recordemos que en su material discográfico pasado, Swim Slowly, sí tenía un poquito más como de esta onda alternativa con la batería, un poquito más armado la guitarra, el bajo, y ahora sí se dieron vuelo y hay demasiados riffs, tienen como esta sensación de vida, muerte, renacimiento. Entonces se dejaron llevar, se dejaron fluir, y eso es lo que podemos esperar de las canciones de este nuevo EP. Una de ellas se llama Another Quiet Sunday, y es las que me dicen que esa tal vez un poquito más parecida a las canciones que ya hemos escuchado con ellos de su último material discográfico, Swim Slowly, pero sí, completamente distinto, porque se dejaron llevar por completo, y eso es lo que nos espera Another Quiet Sunday. Guys, we're running out of time, but please tell us about your social media. Where can we follow you or listen to your songs?
Yeah, we're on every streaming service. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all that. I'd say currently we're most active on Instagram, in terms of where we post the most and stuff like that. Attempting a TikTok, Meltt Music. But yeah, I'd say follow us on wherever you can find us. And
Instagram is at Meltt Music, by the way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And comment on our pictures, send us a message. We'll respond.
So you're the ones behind the handle. You're the ones that are gonna answer.
We run the whole thing, yeah.
Oye, pues les pregunté por sus redes sociales para que estemos al tanto de su gira, de sus canciones. Los encuentran en todos lados como @MelttMusic. Meltt se escribe con doble T al final, Meltt. Y ellos son los que manejan sus cuentas. Entonces, si les dejan ahí un comentario o lo que sea, ellos mismos les van a responder. Y pues este contacto yo creo que está padrísimo. No se los pierdan. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here with us in RKO.fm. We hope to see you here in Mexico really soon. Please tell us.
We hope we
can. We definitely hope to be there for sure.
And it was so nice meeting you, chatting with you, getting to know more about Meltt. And thank you again so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Woo, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
RKO.fm